Hello friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. Got a unboxing for you today. If you're interested in getting into an inexpensive mandolin to learn the mandolin, a starter mandolin for sure, I have a good recommendation for you. I have no affiliation with the company, I have no affiliation with the manufacturer, the seller, or anything. This is not an advertisement for this particular mandolin or for the company that sells them or anything like that at all. It's just a service to you if you're looking to buy a cheap mandolin. And when I say cheap, I mean inexpensive. I don't mean that the mandolin itself is all that cheap. I think for the money you spend on this mandolin, I think you get a lot more than you're spending. So I think it's a very good value. It's amazing that you can buy one this inexpensively. So we'll talk about the cost and everything here in a minute. Here's the box. We haven't even opened it yet. So we'll open it up and show you what it takes to set this thing up and to start playing it. I teach a lot of youngsters mandolin and older folks too, but especially the youngsters. They're looking to get into something real inexpensively. The parents are just wanting to find out if the kid's going to stick with it, so they don't want to spend a lot of money on a mandolin. This is the Rogue mandolin, and it's sold by Musician's Friend. You can see here there's Musician's Friend. You can find them on the internet, and you just type in mandolin and you'll see these come up. And they have a couple of different varieties of the Rogue. They also have the F style, and of course this one is the A style. Now generally speaking, as they come out of the box, they're just about ready to play. Obviously you have to tune them, but they're set up pretty darn well for a very inexpensive mandolin. So what we're going to do now is do the little setup that I would do on every mandolin that comes in. When they come in, the strings are fairly loose, and you can hear obviously that it's not in tune. So the first thing I'll do is tune it up and see what all we have to do beyond that. As you bring them up to pitch, the previous ones that you've tuned are going to drop in pitch, so you got to go through it 2 or 3 different times. Okay, they're usually set up very, very low, and I like to leave them set low for the students. When they're first learning, you know how it is always very hard on the fingers, so even though it's going to buzz a little bit, I just soon put up with a little bit of buzz and have it easier for them to play at the beginning. So there's a little bit of buzz going on in this. Now we'll check the intonation. We'll make sure that E string is tuned up good. And we check it at the 12th fret. It's a little bit sharp. It's a little over 10 cents sharp. So I'm going to pull the E side back just a little bit. About less than a 1/16 of an inch. About a 1/16 of an inch, I'd say. Still a little bit sharp. Now if you are new to this, you probably aren't going to be able to have all the tension on all the strings when you move that bridge. I do it all the time, so I'm used to doing that. It's pretty close there. Now we'll check the G side. Way sharp. It's at least 30 cents sharp, so I'm going to pull it around to match. I'm going to keep the E side where it's at. Now I'm going to retune it again and check it one more time. Actually, this one's got a little more buzz than normal, so I'm probably going to loosen the strings up and raise these up just a little bit, the adjusters here. It's a little bit too much vibration going on. A little more than normal, actually. Normally when you get them out of the box, they have just a teeny amount of buzz, but not very much. This one's got a little more than the normal. And it's mostly on the bass side, so I'm mostly going to just raise the bass side up. Actually, I'm going to loosen the bass strings a couple of turns here, just to get enough tension off of there where I can raise this side up here. Raise it about a full turn, probably, not quite a full turn. We'll bring it back up to pitch. Looking down it, I can still see the bass side is still quite low, so I'm going to go ahead and loosen that up again, and I'm going to raise it on up a little bit further. And I've mentioned this in many other videos, but you always tune up to your pitch. So if you're above the pitch, you tune below it and then come back up to the pitch. That takes the slack out of your tuning keys. If you tune down to the pitch ever, you'll think your tuning keys aren't working because the slack doesn't come out and the slack will pull out later. Getting close. Now let me check the intonation again. Pretty close. Pretty close. Alright, I'm going to do a final tuning. Okay, we're still getting a little bit of buzzing, but it's not so bad now, and that's okay. I want to keep the strings as low as I possibly can. Now I noticed this E string and the A string, they're not high, but they could be a little lower, and for a new student, I'm going to lower those down just a little bit. Just a little tiny amount. And anytime you're dealing with real cheap strings and you're loosening them and tightening them, you're going to end up breaking one eventually, and that could happen right now. Okay, that string's much lower, much better. Same thing on the A string. Loosen it up a few turns here. soft that I can get them out of the slots. Now don't get me wrong, this could have been played the way it came out of the box. I just like to get them incredibly low for my students. Just makes their experience more pleasurable. It's much easier on their fingers, much easier to play. And I shouldn't even just say just for my students, I like to have mine low too, so it's nice to have them real low. But as it comes out of the box, these aren't what I would refer to as being real high, they're just kind of medium. It is what it is, but as far as I'm concerned, for $45.99, you're getting a lot more than you're paying for. Not the greatest sounding mandolin in the world, but the strings make it sound a little tinny too. So when you put the better strings on it, they sound quite a bit better. And like I said, it's buzzing just a little bit because it's pretty low. And these nickel strings, they just have a tinny sound to begin with. So, you know, it's got a number of things going against it right at the beginning. But I always leave those strings on there for the beginner because, especially with children, the first several weeks, they're not playing any music anyway. They're just beating on it and making noise. So, and they're learning their chords and that kind of thing. So the nickel strings are plenty good to learn on. And then after that, about the time they start playing music, well then we switch them over to some pretty good strings and it sounds a little bit better. So, hope you enjoyed this review of the Rogue A-Style mandolin, $45.99 plus tax, no shipping, from Musician's Friend. I recommend them highly for anybody beginning to learn a mandolin.